The unofficial meetings that we have with the people, that's where you form your relationships.
Yeah.
And that's where from your relationships, you build your partnerships.
This podcast is proudly supported by the Ōtara Network Action Committee, ōNAC, community-owned, community-driven and community-led.
Haere mai anō, Ōtara. My name is Judy Spate and we're here for the We Are Ōtara Podcast. This podcast is a long-held vision of our team here. We wanted to bring you our voices direct from Ōtara. So this studio, I don't know how many of us, our audience know that, but it's based in the heart of Ōtara, bang on Lovegrove Crescent where the magic happens. Today, it's my delight to introduce you to another local cop. We've had with us for this conversation Rod Honan. Rod is the new area commander for the country's Manukau East. He picked up from Scott Gemmell, previous guest, who has now gone on to be a regional superintendent. The thing that hit me about the conversation with Rod was heaps of stuff, some how-to. How did he become a cop? Literally, how can our young people become cops? But the most important thing was the kaupapa that he, his song sheet, some people might say, he talked about trust and connection, and everything in his vision is about trust and connection. How do we grow relationships with community members? How can we work together so that our kids make good decisions and good futures for themselves as they go forward? During our conversation, we talk about how one of our team members here has challenged our local police, the local NPT, neighbourhood policing team, to a game of touch. Or it might be league, or it might be something else. Who knows? But certainly a game that will take place as part of our Matariki celebrations. And the cops were up for it. He agreed during our conversation that they'd put a team up. Now, how exciting is that? How committed to your community is that? I mean, you can imagine that Jamaica's already training up the biggest, most powerful league players in Ōtara, but the Scorpions will have their day versus our local cops. So that's a pretty amazing thing. So I know you're going to listen in and enjoy this current episode. This is an incredible series. Just stay with us as it develops over time. Kia ora rā. Rod Honan, welcome. Welcome to the place where Ōtara's voice gets heard firsthand, which is why we set up this podcast. We set it up so that, because we were really concerned, I think, as a community, that first-hand news didn't ever get to the media. First-hand news didn't ever get to people. The only stories that got told was, another drug bust, another gun raid, another this, another that. But these are the great stories, and a number of your team have been through here before, and colleagues, and we find it's a really valuable relationship and something that we working hard to effect is that the closeness with you guys is our peacekeeping force and the glue, I think, the glue in the community.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And these are the opportunities we've got to take. Listening to the people that we serve that's what we're about. So, we're all about community and listening and forming relationships. So here we are.
Yeah, well, we'll get on to some ideas that I've had that I've been talking with some of your team about, but maybe a great place to start would be talking a little bit about what it was about the police force that attracted you. I don't know, how you're a lifer, aren't you?
Yeah, I've been.
So how did it all start, the dream?
Yeah, it's something I've always wanted to do. I had a interaction with a police officer when I was a child, and I thought that's quite a cool thing to do, and as long as I can remember, I always wanted to be a police officer. I just had to find something to do once I left school and find something worthwhile that would let me get old enough, wise enough to join the police. So I used to be an electrician, and then I travelled overseas for a few years and did what you did overseas, and came back and
I never got that chance, but did what you did.
Yeah.
But see the world, really, isn't it? It gives you a whole different perspective on what life's about.
Yeah, Mum's Scottish, so it was good to go back to Scotland and see where she came from and
meet
some
rallies.
of her. Well, no, all of her rallies are over in New Zealand, but some of her childhood friends, which was really quite interesting. Yeah,
What fun.
didn't come from much, but yeah, my grandfather came to the land of milk and honey, and the rest is history.
So it did deliver for your whānau.
It did.
Yeah.
It did. Yep. Yep. He arrived by himself off the boat, and my grandmother and my mother arrived a year later. And by that stage, he'd found somewhere to live and employment, and built their life from there.
That's amazing, isn't it? Yeah. So how was it that you actually came to be a police officer? Was it you just filled in the form and went for a few runs, or how did it all go?
No, I was actually living in London, and I was nearly about to join the Metropolitan Police in London. I went through the processes there, and the Metropolitan Police cut all their intakes back. And I just happened to be working in the central London and went to New Zealand House, and in those days the New Zealand Herald was there. So I was flicking through the Herald, and here was a half-page ad to join New Zealand Police.
Woohoo!
Yeah, so I made a phone call from London back here, and came home in November, and then joined in the following April.
Wow. Yeah. So where was your first posting? Oh, so you went to police college?
Yep, went to police college.
Yeah.
Yep, 6 months there. And I started in Mangere
Yeah.
in 1997. I think we had about 1 in 5 on section in those days.
And it was much more of a community policing model, wasn't it? Or kind of where you're trying to get back to.
Yeah,
now,
it was. Yeah, it had been decentralised. Otahu was the main station, and that's where most of the facilities were in the investigation group. So, yeah, it was a patrol base, and quite a small police community in amongst quite a large community. So, yeah, not quite as inclusive as what we are today. I think we pretty much did our job, and that was what we did. But with prevention first, and the ability to network better with the communities, I think we're in a better space these days.
Yeah, I think that networking with communities that's what we really appreciate here. It's been really amazing to have, your team with us doing things like helping with the food bank and coming to Geek Camp. And I got to put the handcuffs on once. Or somebody might have put them on me. Was that you? Anyway, I liked it. Everyone got to try the handcuffs on.
Perfect.
But we didn't take photos of that because we didn't think that our community out there would like it very much. But we just,
Good idea.
It was a good experience, though, I think.
Yeah, and it's the small interactions, the unofficial meetings that we have with the people. That's where you form your relationships.
Yeah.
And that's where from your relationships, you build your partnerships.
Yeah.
So, I'm all for all of our teams, including myself, coming out to the community on community days, helping where we can. And it's those, not only that, we then can form the relationship that some of the community might want to become police officers.
Yes.
And so it gets gives them an idea of what they're looking for, and we can talk through them and formal recruiting.
Yeah. Well, actually, there is going to be a wonderful chance coming up with recruiting, where I understand that the under-15 Scorpions league team are going to challenge your team to
Really?
To a game. Yes, I've heard that from a very good source.
Well, I don't know if my knees are up to playing rugby league anymore, but
well, you've got just this is advice, that you've got a few months to do a bit of training.
Perfect, excellent, good. I'll be running the waters by the sound of it.
Well, I don't think I'm going to be invited onto the field either, but I think it could be quite exciting.
Yeah. Absolutely, and that's
a deal.
Let's
you will.
do it.
I'm not sure we extended the invitation before, but so we won't disclose his identity. But one of our team here is a member of that team, and
really,
he's organising the fastest and the fittest.
Ah,
yes.
I know we've done it in the past. I'm not sure which club we played against.
Okay. Well, Scorpions is Ōtara Hard, so it's the only place to play.
Yeah.
We've got to have a couple of friendlies perhaps as a warm-up, see what the competition's going to be like.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe we'll get T-shirts printed for the day. I can just see the whole thing. I'll do some cooking.
I'll help.
Okay. Right, well, that sounds like the collaboration we're looking for. So your appointment as to the local crew at Counties Manukau East, was that something that you were looking for or hoping for?
I'd always wanted to be an area commander, and Counties Manukau is my district of choice.
Yeah.
They don't come up very often. So
I heard you were tapped for it, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yes. Not so much application, but coercion.
No.
Because they wanted you.
No, not at all. I went through the process. I talked with my wife because, as you know, I was up at another station not too far away from here. And, after thinking about it for the weekend, I decided to put my name in the hat and my best foot forward, and here I am.
I mean, because that's sort of like if you're in, because you must have quite a large team now. And I mean, were you used to having such a big team?
From where I've just previously come from, no. But prior to that, I was the relieving area commander at Manukau. Okay. So a few more numbers over there, but Manukau was very contained into that one station, whereas here I've got Ormiston, Howick, Fletchlands,
the widespread area, and you know, as a community, we really appreciate those briefings that your team give us on what's going on and where the big areas of concern are, and in particular, I guess for us here, the incidence of family harm, which is the highest, far greater than I ever thought it was, and something that we really worry about, I think, as a community, that, you know, I imagine it takes a lot for a family to dial, 111 in an emergency family harm scenario, and the fact that that's happening on a lot of times a night here in our community.
Yeah, I guess if we look at the positive side of it, people are dialing 111, and it's the trust and confidence they've got in us to be able to help them out.
Yes.
Because that's what we're about.
Well, that is the thing, isn't it? That's the lowest of the low, really, for anybody, isn't it? When something terrible's happened in your home with the people you love.
Absolutely. I mean, privacy is everything, and your home is your home. And
to reach out to some and know that your team can help.
And to invite strangers into your house to help the situation is a hard thing. But the beauty of us helping is we've got people like you that can help. We've got other government agencies, non-government agencies that can help as well. So help is available. And just don't be shy. Don't be shy. Come forward.
Yeah, but know that you've got a remarkable team that, we've met them over the years, and I think this is the best lineup that I've seen so far. There are a few people we still miss, but on the ground, just the youthful enthusiasm, but the depth of relationships. And we just value their, the contribution that they make. And I remember the first time they came in here, they, a couple of the women sat down, and nearly said, a couple of the girls, we don't, apologies to all the females out there. A couple of the women sat down and they were doing jigsaw puzzles with the kids. And, you'd never think that you would see a police officer in uniform doing a jigsaw puzzle. But, I mean, what a lovely thing to do with a toddler or a small person.
At the end of the day, we're still human.
Yeah. And mums and dads.
That's right.
That's the point, I think. Mums and dads and uncles and aunts and this is your community as well.
Yeah, and you come to work to be a police officer, but you're still coming to work as yourself. Yeah. And that's what I encourage is, just because you come to New Zealand Police doesn't mean you have to change.
No.
You bring your own values, you bring what you've learnt growing up, and that's what we want, because one size doesn't fit all.
No. And somewhere you'll find the match.
Yeah.
So if we think about what are your priorities in our community at the moment, what are the high points that you're stressing in terms of relationships with the community at Ōtara in particular, but more broadly Counties Manukau East? When
we met as the leadership team on Monday, it was just to get a bit of a feel about what is actually happening in our community. The biggest bugbear that we hear from the community is the swarming and the dirt bikes. So we're working collaboratively with our district prevention team to work on that. The other thing that's still high up there is rates of burglary and car crime. And with our reporting standards, the lines get a bit blurred because if a car, for argument's sake, is parked inside the gate, that becomes a burglary. So the intelligence teams are looking at that in depth.
Trying to restructure the descriptors.
Yeah. So we can't get around the national reporting standards, but what we can do is actually look at case by case what's happening, and then prioritising if we have any evidence to locate and hold the offenders to account. So that's basically in a nutshell what we're about.
But the contributing factors too, I mean, that was something we've talked a bit about, like in our community safety meetings, was that, you know, some people, I'm thinking about the ex-car burglaries, that some people find that, I think some of your team are finding that if I'm a contractor and someone else has bought all my gear, I'm not particularly worried about it, and I probably don't bother locking my car. And so what could be regarded as theft is in fact opportunism.
Yeah.
Because if I happen to need a chainsaw and a electric drill, what better than get them out of that? Yeah. So there is that duty of care thing that comes in.
Yeah, there is too, because, I mean, you take a person's tools, you take away their livelihood. I'm not sure that they're being stolen to be used
that would be the point
in their own employment. And there's ways and means of offloading the stolen equipment, but
like selling it back to the person you flogged it for.
Yeah, and I feel sad for the tradesperson.
Yeah,
because that's their livelihood. That's that's money. That's food on the table.
Oh yes. How they feed their family.
Not everybody can afford the insurance, so they have to start from scratch again.
Yeah.
It's sometimes we get lucky when we go to these different places and we're able to return equipment. But it's a sad day when someone's tools are stolen.
Yeah. And as ex-trader yourself, that's a really good reflection.
And they're not cheap.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I've got a husband that's obsessed with, he would buy those rather than the Weet-Bix. Which brings me to my next line of conversation, I guess, is that whole thing, because from where I sit and we sit here, we see that people are getting hungrier. It used to be if people in a home were working, we didn't give them a food box, and now there's not many people that we come into contact with, whether they're working or not, that have enough food in their home. And that food poverty, as we call it, it drives a whole heap of stuff. It drives burglary, theft generally, it drives home harm, it drives unrest in communities if you can't feed your kids. So, I mean, that was something I was talking about before with you about, you know, when your team were here helping us with the food parcels the other day, which was amazing. It was our easiest ever food bag. Everyone went home and went, why isn't it like that every week? And I'm like, because these guys have actually got a few other people to visit.
Yeah.
But, you know, one of the things is that can we identify families with your guys out there on the front line, which they're already doing informally, but, you know, for us to support those families with food boxes. Yeah, and is that something that we can work on together? Yeah,
absolutely. For us, it's an opportunity to go to somebody's house in a positive light.
Yeah.
Because for some families, they haven't seen that in the past, which is sad. So any opportunity we can do things like that to help, we can. There's been other food banks that we've used in the past as well.
Another thing that's really exciting is I showed you when you just arrived, our gardens outside. We have the great gardeners sitting here at the table. And, you know, our vision is that, you know, Sully, who's, you know, our local leader, has worked with our young team member to build those boxes, and so we've only got 3 at the moment, but we're going to have 6 of them as soon as he gets back from Niue. So when we've got 6, we'll actually have some quite impressive quantity. But the whole idea from that would be that families can come and take food, that maybe your guys if they're off to see someone, they could drop by and pick up an armload of pak choy. But wouldn't that, I mean, that's kind of a nice way to bring people together, but also to maybe get families, I mean, it gives them something else to talk about. Have you thought about gardening? You go to these people and they'll help you set up your own garden.
Any idea is a good idea. And if we can promote it, and if we can help in any way, we will.
Yeah. Well, I think they provide, opportunities for your teams to be on the ground, having a positive interaction with people, which is what I've seen them wanting to do, playing touch with the kids, offering to come and play league, offering to, not quite, but coming to play league, being involved in workshops with the community, being involved in, planting days or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that could be, I haven't seen it happening before, except in a one-off kind of environment. But when it's the same community, we only have 35,000 people at Ōtara, and that's not that many. Everybody knows.
Not the scale of Auckland these days, no.
No. No. Well, it's nice, actually. I think, between all of the people that walk through our doors, there's not that many people that aren't known as it is. So we've talked about priorities, we've talked about the past. What about the future? What does that look like for you in terms of your vision for 3 days in?
Three days in.
When we sit down together in another 6 months or another year and I say, hey, Rod, how's it been going?
Yeah. It's, once again, it's early days. So starting with the relationships, I'd like to think that the relationships have moved further along. And we're leveraging off each other's expertise, and so we're getting more bang for our buck. It's about working smarter, not harder.
Yeah,
because we're all time poor. And my team are also a slave to the radio as well, so they've got jobs coming in, jobs backing up.
Yeah,
the community teams do a fantastic job, both in the community, but also there's times we have to use them to help out the front line.
Yeah.
6 months' time, 12 months' time, it'd be nice to look back and say, yes, we went to A, B, and C events, and out of those events, this is what we've done.
Or maybe met with A, B, and C communities.
Yeah.
And from those relationships rather than like that single point in time thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And from there, this is what's grown out of it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a really good objective, isn't it? Just that makes me think a little bit about the structure of. I really have when we come down to the station, we see all sorts of people rushing around doing things, but I have no idea how the teams are put together. I mean, we know we've got your neighbourhood policing team, and then there's 6, I think, of those in the area. Is that right? How many teams?
No, there's 3 of those neighbourhood policing teams. And then we've got the prevention teams. The area prevention units.
Care and protection. Did you say?
No, area prevention units.
Area. So hang on, neighbourhood policing, they do the beat as it was in the olden days. So they're the guys we see up in the town centre.
Yes, that's right. Yep. Yeah, so they've got a demographic that they look after, or a geographical place. So the idea of the neighbourhood policing team is to get into the community, listen to the community, problem solve, but not short-term problem solve, long-term problem solving, with a view to handing over to capable guardians in the future. So
community partners, is it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So we've only got limited resource, so we obviously have to listen to you guys, listen to the community, find out what the issues are, do a scanning and analysis, and then problem solving, working with you people.
So there's this model of a community, a police-led engagement, and then a handoff from there once it works.
Yeah, it may not be police-led, but we work with our partners to solve the problem of what's been established.
So is there a formal process for that?
We have documents and templates as such, but everything it's organic. So you can't just do the same thing everywhere. You've got to listen to the people. You've got to look at what resource you've got. You've got to look at what the end goal is, time frames. So you can't just cookie cutter it.
No. It's very insightful of you, and such a relief to hear you say that. Yeah. No, that's a great way of the model. So that's the NPT, the neighbourhood policing team.
Yep.
And they have a sergeant in charge of them, and they form a sub-team.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yep. Yep. So they're working their own rosters.
Yeah.
Once again, the roster can change depending on what the issue is. And then it's just working around those problems, and there might be a community day that comes up in the area that they want to attend to. So it may have been a roster day off, but if we can change the roster and hopefully get some resource down there to do what we need to do.
Yeah. And obviously pick the ones that best at the community as well. Mind you, the ones that we've met are. Okay, so that's that piece. So, and then who are the other people?
The area prevention units, APUs.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. So they will, similar to an MPT, have a particular problem that we need to work on. May not be as involved with the community than the NPTs. That said, it may do. So at the moment that commercial burglaries is an issue that we've identified.
Oh, yes.
So that's what the area prevention units are working on.
So these are the guys that are zooming in and taking out the town centres.
Yeah, and commercial burglaries, the areas where there's not a lot of traffic at night time, so it makes the locations vulnerable for crime. But with the right...
and is that primarily theft, or is it other...
Yeah, predominantly.
Yeah.
Yep. But it can also be the boy races.
Yeah.
That type of thing. So just whatever the problem is for the area. But that's where the community help us to determine what we do with our resource. Because if we don't know about it, we're not going to be able to put the resource into it.
So have you got a key message on that one?
Yeah.
The
Talk
key
to
message
us. Keep talking to us.
And how do we do?
There's Crime Stoppers if you want to do it anonymously. There's 105 line, or you can do it online at police.govt.nz.
So that's in an event. In the event that that's not anybody in immediate life-threatening scenario, but something bad going down.
Yeah. It could be one of the things that Crime Stoppers will let us know is there's possibly neighbours growing cannabis. That's one of the things that will come through. They obviously feel vulnerable and think that if the person finds out that they've told us, then they're in trouble. So that's one way of telling us. Probably true. But it also then puts it on our radar.
Yeah.
So then our intelligence team look at all the Crime Stoppers information, all the notings that our teams do, and the reports of what's going on in the neighbourhood. And then at 8 o'clock every morning, the leadership team sit down and sort out what's happened. So Monday's a big day because you've got 72 hours to look through from Friday through to Monday. The rest of the day is 24 hours. And then, if we have a deployment plan, if things are sort of gone off what we're deploying to, then it gives us the opportunity to regroup and put the resource where we need it.
Yeah.
But like I say, if we're not being told, then it's not going to be on our radar.
Yeah.
And nothing, people always say, well, you guys are really busy. That's why I didn't tell you. So that's not what we need though. Just please take the time. And it can be, if you do it online, it can be as little as a minute. And we all know people are on devices all day, every day these days. So they're happy to use them.
Well, that was where your team were amazing. That one of the NPT teams, when we had a visitor that just wouldn't go away, he was unpleasant and kept on bailing us up in different points, and never aggressive, but potentially it could go wrong. That was that whole feeling that we had, and we talked about it with your team, and they said send in a 105. So we did that. And then they said, well, if it happens one more time, dial 111. And the response was instantaneous. I couldn't believe how fast. And not just any old cops in the car.
Yep.
Because I said, please, no sirens, because I think it will make it really more difficult. It was, our MPT team that turned up. And so there was that feeling of comfort and protection. And the fact that God shot through by then, of course, was irrelevant, really, because we felt supported.
Yeah.
And,
So another thing too, we don't arrest at every job we go to. People think instantly if the police arrive, somebody's going to get arrested. That's not the case. No, you've got to look at everything objectively. Every job's different. You once again can't be a cookie cutter. So arrest is the absolute last resort. If we can resolve a situation without arrest, that's great. And there's other ways. If people do get arrested, we can still down the track do alternative resolution. There's different ways we can sort things out. So not everybody, even if they are arrested, which is a last resort, don't go through the courts.
So that next bit, so we've got the APU team. So you talked about the investigation team. Is that another team altogether, or is that the APU team?
That's the APU team. Yep.
Okay, so they do those investigations. And what other career opportunities are there?
We've obviously got the frontline cars. We've also got...
So the frontline, is that what they used to call an ICAR, the incident?
Yes, our PST.
So they're your team?
Yes.
They're local people?
Yep. Okay. They all go out of Wilmston.
So those are people waiting to respond to an issue?
Yeah.
So that would be like a 111 call or something? Okay. But they're not the MPT guys generally?
No.
Yeah. And are they dispatched? Oh, it doesn't matter.
So in between jobs, we have the deployment plan. So that's where, if they're able to, and I'll just pick Lovegrove Crescent, if there's an issue in Lovegrove Crescent, then in their downtime, then the expectation is that they will walk, drive, stop, talk to people, and just show the presence so we're preventing crime. Staying in uniform, we've got Youth Aid.
Oh, yeah. So Youth Aid, we've met some of them. So they're the guys that work with Oranga Tamariki in the crime and prevention team, youth justice team.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And you've got the youth education team, which are in the schools.
And what do they do?
School community officers. They present all of the safety type briefings. They'll do the road patrol, teaching the young kids how to do the lollipops.
Oh, okay.
Yep. A little bit of road safety, some educational stuff.
So that's schools facing.
Yeah.
I'm a bit concerned that I just got the we're running out of time look, and I wanted to put my 20-year-old self back when I wanted to be a cop. And I was studying criminology, and I thought it was a fantastic trajectory. And there were a number of uniformed police that were doing that as well. However, it didn't happen for me. So say I'm 15, I'm looking at finishing school in a couple of years. What kind of subjects do I need?
Just the basics, maths and English. We do write a lot of reports, so good grammar.
Yeah.
English is good. That said, it's great to have a second language as well, because not everybody in our community speaks English. So that's a tick as well, if you can speak a second language. Have to be fit.
Yeah, healthy. I've heard of the grueling physical expectations.
When you're young, it's easier.
Okay.
Yeah. And just there's a lot of things you can do in the police. So you don't have to decide on day one or before you even go to police college what you want to do. So as a constable, there's lots of opportunity for you to do things, and lots of community work if that's your thing, or youth work, frontline.
And you can go straight to those things? Or?
No. So you still got to do 2 years as a probationary constable. Yeah. So that's where you go through all the different modules and examples that you're competent in basic policing.
Okay. And then you specialise, as it were.
Yes.
Okay. So
yeah, but that all depends. The time frame depends on vacancies coming available as well.
Yeah. And do you get placements in those other specialties?
You can do, yes.
Yeah, so you can experience it, see what it's like.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Quite often we'll have uniformed staff help out what we call the crime squad, which are the first responders to serious crime. So they become a crime driver, as we call it, and exactly that. Just exposed.
But like the getaway driver with a different outfit.
Well, get in there driver, not getaway driver.
Yeah. Okay, well that would be, so you'd have to get great driving skills and a driver's licence There's a thought.
A full driver's license, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A good thing to start with.
Yeah, and don't worry, we don't have too many manuals left in the fleet, so automatic license is good.
And so 20-year-old me, because I've now finished school and I haven't gone to police college. I'm still thinking about whether or not what I'm going to do with my talents. So I'm probably 18 at this point. And so what kind of money can I expect to earn?
I think the starting salary is around about late 70s now. The other thing too, remember when you're a young person and all your friends are going to parties on Fridays and Saturday nights.
Oh, yes.
It's shift work. So
not every party.
Not every party, no. So you do get leave, but it takes a little bit of planning to make sure you
get to the ones that you want to get to.
Get to the ones you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're not a morning person, well, we start fairly early most mornings too. So,
okay, what time?
About 6:30, 7:15.
Have to be at work then. Can I get breakfast at work?
You bring your own breakfast.
Oh. Okay.
On occasion, you get a free breakfast, but no, she's all on you.
Okay. Well, I can't wait to start.
Yeah.
Where do I sign up? Oh, I'm too old. But what an amazing opportunity, walking. All you have to do is really finish school with some effort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's
and it's a starting salary at 75.
It's around that starting
It's
salary.
pretty
yeah.
good money. It's
Not
amazing.
Bad. Not bad.
Yeah. Wow. Maybe we'll get a rush of young Ōtarians coming to join the police force.
Yeah, in between their Scorpion contracts.
Yeah, that would be the one. Yeah.
We don't pay as well as the Scorpions, I hear.
Well, if you had both jobs, that would be okay, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and we're pretty good with things like that. We recognise the young folk need their time out to play sport. So if you are a keen sports person, we'll do what we can to help you play your sport.
It's amazing, actually, isn't it?
Well, you've got to have an outlet.
Yeah.
And if rugby league's your passion, then it's something we'd like to help you with. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, because we didn't talk about dogs. Dogs are uniform too, aren't they? But are they dispatched out of Auckland Central? If you're a dog lover.
Yeah.
Just thinking about options career-wise.
Yes, yeah.
Well, I hate to finish this conversation now, but I'm aware that you have other commitments.
Thank you.
And I know you will come back, won't you?
Absolutely.
We'll check in. We'll do the 6-month check-in, shall we?
Absolutely.
We'll see how the careers of young Ōtarians heading on that trajectory towards the force is going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Happy to be here today and happy to do it in the future.
Well, welcome to Ōtara, Rod.
Thank you.
It's great to have you here. We're all missing Scott desperately, but it's wonderful to have you with us. So thank you.
I'll try my best to be as good as Scott.
Okay. Thank you.